I'd like to take this opportunity now to welcome everyone to the 2014
CCHL Draft. I'm Joe Baptista, and we're here in Gloucester, Ottawa, and we're going to go to Kevin Abrams, who's going to lead us into the draft and tell us about what's going to be going on tonight. Kevin, are you there?
I'm here. I'd like to welcome everyone that's viewing at home, all the players, parents, the supporters of the CCHL. It's a big night for us every year. Our CCHL Draft is an opportunity for us to welcome some potential new players to our league. It's a great opportunity for those players and families to meet some of the personnel that operate teams in our league. The process is as follows. We've already gone through our protected player process a couple of weeks ago. We'll have an opportunity to introduce those players here publicly for the very first time. And following that, we'll have our draft, which is like any other draft, an inverse order of finish. Teams will select. We have 10 rounds, so you'll see a number of players that are anywhere from 15 to 17 years of age being selected, future players, future stars in the CCHL, and perhaps somebody that's right down the street playing someplace near you. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. Again, we welcome everyone to view, and we'll look forward to a great night.
Thank you, Kevin. So here we go, live to the draft. It's on.
That would help. As we send out the tweet saying that the CCHL broadcast is on, sent out right now, we'll take two. It's the 2014 CCHL Draft. The Bantam Protecs have just been announced, and now we're getting ready for the first round. To my left and your right is Mike Nellis, who covers the Gloucester Rangers, also a correspondent for In the O Radio. And on the other side of me, it's David Reynolds, who covers the Cumberland Grads. Both those teams have been fairly busy wheeling and dealing through the first round of picks. We should let you know that the Bantam selections you just saw were actually announced earlier on this month, about 2 weeks ago. Each team gets 2 picks for sure based on their geographic area. If a team passes over one of the players in its area, then another one can try to protect it, and that just gives them the rights for these players, many of who will go on to the Ontario Hockey League. They have very high talent level, these Bantam Protecs, and we're going to meet each and every one of them later on in this show. But as we turn on to round one of the CCHL Draft, I guess we'll start by going through the movers and shakers. Gloucester started off the day with 4 first-round picks, and Michael, they've already moved a couple of those around.
Yeah, absolutely, and it started off with the Cumberland Grads moving up to first overall, and that was after they traded their 3rd overall pick to Hawkesbury in exchange for Hawkesbury's 1st overall pick. Then it was moved, that 3rd overall pick, to the Gloucester Rangers along with Hawkesbury's 6th overall pick in exchange for the 10th, 11th, and I believe the 19th pick as well. So Hawkesbury adds a 2nd round selection, and Gloucester gets the 3rd and 6th. So they have 4 first overall picks, and not only 4, but 4 very well placed picks as well. We're going to go over that right now. 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 9th. 4 first round picks, and a lot of those in the top half. Yeah,
moving up now. You mentioned a team that made a move to get up to number 1 overall. The Cumberland Grads are making their way to the stage. They moved up from 3 to 1. They had a player targeted, and now we're going to find out exactly who that player is going to be to join Cumberland potentially as soon as next season.
I have a hunch it could be Thomas Stevenson. He was the best player available after all the Bantam Protects were made. I was shocked he wasn't protected in the first place.
And you're not the only person I heard that from.
Yeah, and he's a guy, he lives just a 15-minute drive from the Navan Arena itself, so we're now going to go up to the podium to see the Cumberland Grads make their 1st overall selection.
wait for the Grads, actually. I believe they're
Cumberland Grads would like to thank the Gloucester Rangers for hosting the draft, and we would like to wish Carleton Place best of luck as they represent our league at the Fred Page Cup. With the first pick overall, the Cumberland Grads are proud to select from the Ottawa 67, Tommy Stevenson.
Well, it's a real graduation feel here at the Earl Armstrong Arena. Lots of parents, lots of friends and families, well-dressed young men, and Thomas Stevenson, as you had your hunch, is the first man off the board.
I'm really curious to know if your graduation comment was a pun intended, as Thomas Stevenson walks up for his first moments as a member of the Cumberland Grads. Like I said, he was one of the best players available, I believe, in the 99 age group. He's a very solid defensive defenseman and has plenty of offensive skills. He was a power play defenseman for that Ottawa Junior 67s team that won the bronze medal game at the All-Ontario Pee-wee AAA Bantam Championships. And just a rock-solid pick by the Cumberland Grads, and he'll be a fantastic player for them in the future.
Yeah, and Thomas Stevenson with 3 goals, 7 assists, and 10 points on the season. A pretty disciplined player as well. Only 14 penalty minutes in the 28 games played for him. So yeah, very solid selection there from the Cumberland Grads, and I believe Dave alluded to it recently that Thomas Stevenson lives in the area. He's from Orleans, Ontario, I believe.
Yeah, and Dave, you do a lot of the games for the Cumberland Grads on Fast Hockey. How do you think he can fit into this team, either next year or especially down the line?
Well, the Cumberland Grads were actually dealt a big blow to the blue line just this year when David Bennett, arguably their top two-way defenseman, made a end-of-season 2014-15 commitment to Canisius College. As we just saw Canada make their second overall pick.
Yep.
We didn't quite hear who it was.
Adam Church from the Ottawa Valley Titans, 10 goals and 14 assists in 30 games played. Second man going down the aisle for the Lasers, who had announced today that longtime GM Lou Nistico was stepping aside after maybe the draft preparation was done. So the former Stallions, now once again the Lasers, have their man. He's a big forward. He's the tallest guy out of the 3 of them out there, and the newest member of a Canada Lasers team that's trying to get back to playoffs, the glory that they knew under their former name, Mike.
Yeah, and they did a lot of marketing last year, the Canada Lasers did, that the Lasers have never missed the playoffs under that name, and last year doesn't really count because they came in halfway through. So yeah, lots of high hopes there in Canada, hoping to qualify for the playoffs, and we'll see if Adam Church can help them do that at all, if he's able to crack the roster this year.
Only a couple of grads for the Canada Lasers, Braden Moffat and Casey Kulzicki. They traded a couple of veterans away at the deadline, as we have our next team coming up to the podium. It's going to be those Gloucester Rangers, who came into this with 4 first-round picks, shuffled it around a little bit, still have 4 first-round picks. But now we're going to be able to see what the Gloucester Rangers are going to get. They're another one of those teams, the non-playoff teams, obviously coming at the beginning of the draft, who can pretty much take the best player that they think is available.
Yeah, and at the CCHL prospect camp just this past weekend, they were openly very vocal about loving the goaltender Patrick Stesky from the 98 67s.
Been many tireless hours to put this event on for everyone. With the 3rd pick overall, the Gloucester Rangers from the Canadian International Hockey Academy select Chiwan Michael Blacksmith.
Chiwan Blacksmith from CAH over in Rockland, a 6'1", 167-pound forward, had 4 goals and 16 assists in 16 games played for that program. Doesn't look like he was able to make it tonight as the Rangers leave, but another skilled forward, it would appear, Michael, heading to the Gloucester Rangers.
Yeah, for sure. They've got a lot of those in Max Barano, Matt Foguet, and obviously, Sean Blacksmith.
Next selection is the Gloucester Rangers.
The Gloucester Rangers are moving back up to the podium in just a moment here with the 4th selection. We're not kidding when we said they had a load of first-round selections to make. But yeah, Blacksmith also a pretty good performer in the playoffs. He had more than a point-per-game pace in the 2014 playoffs for the major midget AAA CIH, scoring 12 points in 10 games.
And that CIH program, quickly here, Dave, has brought a new dimension to this draft. Sort of as players from out of the area now qualify in that program, as Blacksmith is actually a Quebec native, but is able to be drafted into this league.
Yes, and you see that some of the younger programs in the Canadian International Hockey Academy, they sometimes struggle with the amount of guys that are coming in, but their major midget program, as Blacksmith is a member of, their major midget program year after year is a very competitive program, and he's just another guy coming right from that pipeline now.
Yes, a 6'1", 167, a taller guy, an element that the Gloucester Rangers can definitely use. Ryan Kuffner, Max Barano, Matt Foguet, 3 of their forwards who are going to be big keys to this team this year and the next year, as I believe Kuffner definitely committed in 2016, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And Barano, is he going 2015 or 2016 off to D1 NCAA?
Yeah, he's going to Princeton, I believe, in 2015, so they do have another season of Max Barano. And the Gloucester Rangers very fortunate in that, as Max Barano really a special player and nosed for the net. I watched him play in the last 2 seasons, and he really is a pleasure to watch. I remember 2 years ago in Junior B when he carried the Ottawa Junior Canadians to the league title. And when I say carried, I mean carried. He had at least half the goals in the playoffs for that squad. So you'll see him lead the Gloucester Rangers next year. And these skilled selections that they're making are only going to complement guys like Foguet and Varano.
Dave, as we await the Gloucester Rangers pick, there's been a bit of buzz that they may be looking at a goalie with the 4th overall selection.
Yeah, as I was maybe guessing that they could do it the 3rd overall selection. They now have the 4th overall selection, which was their original pick in this CCHL draft. And Patrick Stesky, a 98-born goaltender from the Ottawa Junior 67s, played AA last year and Rep B the year before. So he's improved year after year, and if he continues at that pace, he could be a dominant goalie by the time he's 19.
The Rangers are pleased to select from the Ottawa 67s minor midget AAA, Patrick Stesky.
Bingo.
Right on the money, Dave.
I'm 2 for 4 so far, so 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
His listing, 6 feet, 145 pounds. He's a big goalie that was actually picked by the Kingston Frontenacs late in the latest Ontario Hockey League draft in the 14th round. So the Rangers already have, I guess you could call rookie goalie of the year, Doug Johnston.
The next selection belongs to the Campbell 73s.
Another young goaltender. You can never have too many of them. As we saw with the Smith Falls Bears, who rode Pineos and Simic through the playoffs to a berth in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doug Johnston with some great work last year for the Gloucester Rangers in the crease. And not only that, but they have Nate Skidmore back next year as well. So that 1-2 punch should be good. And Stesky is only going to add to that in the future as we go back up to the podium.
Kempville 73s going to make their pick.
Kempville 73 select from the Ottawa Valley Titans, Matthew Titus, Major Banner.
Matthew Titus from the Ottawa Valley Titans, 99 age group. This was a guy projected to go to either Kempville or to the Canada Lasers between the 2nd or the 5th pick. He's a Western area kid. I believe he's from Stittsville. And he was the top scorer in the 99 age group who was not protected, so it's no surprise to see him come off the board early here.
Yeah, billed as being a player with good vision, which teams can always use. He's able to make players around him better, as you know, the Kempville 73s, Michael had a couple of those guys this year. Jesse Blay, Dean Glasso, Eric Brown, top-end talent that they were missing in years past, whether through a trade as a couple of years ago. But now they're picking up Matthew Titus, who at 1998 is 1 year older, 1 year closer to potentially making an impact in the CCHL.
Yeah, the Kempville 73 is doing a lot of good work as of late, and it's showing on the ice, qualifying for the playoffs this year. They were unfortunate in drawing the Carleton Place Canadians in the first round, but they did compete in that series, that's for sure. And a guy like Matthew Titus only going to add to that compete level that they have.
So just quickly, Thomas Stevenson, a defenseman from the Ottawa 67s, the first
Next
overall
selection,
pick.
the Gloucester
Adam
Rangers.
Church to the Canada Lasers, number 2. The Rangers back-to-back, Chooton Blacksmith and Patrick Stesky, the goalie, at 4th, and Matthew Titus recently announced at 5th, and right back up there. The Gloucester Rangers blowing out their jersey budget, going to have to bring 4 new ones up onto the podium. They've taken a goalie, they've taken a forward. I wonder if defense may be their next as the Gloucester Rangers look to add depth throughout the organization.
Yeah, and the Gloucester Rangers, their problem last year was goal scoring against, right? They had no problem with goals for, but they had a lot against, and that comes down to the defense, so that you'll see them looking to beef up on the blue line. They do have a lot of returning players in Matthew Deshotel, Zach Saloom, Adam Beveridge as well, very impressive on the blue line for the Gloucester Rangers last year. But as I said, they're going to look to improve for sure, and there's some defensemen still on the board, Dave.
Yeah, there's a few guys that I would have my eye on if I were the Gloucester Rangers. One guy is Andre Giordano from the 98 Ottawa Junior 67s, where most of those players were picked last year in the draft, but the team made it to the OHL Cup bronze medal game this year and ended up finishing 3rd in the province, so that team is going to have a lot of players picked. Another guy was a player that has played with the 67s up until this season when he joined the Upper Canada Cyclones for his minor midget year, and that is Robbie Pickard. He is a big defenseman, about 6'2", about 170 pounds, and he went from the 67s and was instantly the number 1 man on the Cyclones. He's a big guy. He lives in the Gloucester area as well. So he would be a solid pickup for this team, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go in either of those directions.
Yeah, the Rangers.
With the 6th pick overall in this draft, the Gloucester Rangers select from the Major Bantam AAA Ottawa Valley Titans, Adam Johnson.
Adam Johnson. And Paul Jennings, definitely a busy man early in this draft.
Yeah, getting himself a power forward, 5'11", 170 pounds, big hitter, net front player, and a new member of the Gloucester Rangers. Didn't happen to catch the hat that he's wearing. I don't know if that was a Rangers hat, if that was a tell. We obviously don't have any roving reporters who are up in the stands here at the Earl Armstrong Arena. Mike, nice to see the draft back at the Earl again.
Yeah, for sure, and there was some talk at first that they were going to move to an online draft, but they decided to move it back to the Earl Armstrong Arena for what I believe is the 3rd straight season. And it's a really good atmosphere inside what I believe, and I might have a little bias, but I believe that it's one of the best rinks in the league. And it's good to come back here year after year, as I don't believe it was the Gloucester Rangers hat as he throws a different one on right now, Andrew.
We'll get our investigators on that, and we'll bring you the answers as we move forward. David, what can you tell us about Adam Johnson as we await the Cumberland Grad 2nd pick of the 1st round?
I'm more curious about the hat at this point. I mean, I know we asked the hard-hitting questions,
Next
but that hat is bugging
the Cumberland Grads.
The Cumberland Grads, one guy that I've heard a lot about is a guy that was a member of the 98 Eastern Ontario Wild, an undersized skill forward named Braden Laidlaw. Yeah. He's played AA hockey with the Grads growing up. His brother plays for the Cumberland Grads Minor Hockey Association as well. He is one of the most intelligent players available in this draft, and definitely would not be surprised to see him go there.
Cumberland Grads are proud to select from the Major Bantam Eastern Ontario Wild, Mathieu Plante.
Mathieu Plante, another small, quick, skilled forward with vision. He is from the Eastern Ontario Wild, as you heard the Cumberland Grads announce. But still, Mathieu Plante, 21 points in 28 games. Going off to Cumberland with the frosted tips, moving down the red carpet.
Yeah, I saw him play several times this season. He was when he played on a line with Zach Rodriguez, a protect for the Cumberland Grads. It's easy to get sort of lost in that star power, but he did a very good job standing out, and he really helped more than rode along on the gravy train, if we were to put it in those terms. I know that Hawkesbury was really high on him, was hoping that he would slip, but Cumberland decided to pull a fast one on their Eastern Ontario rivals, and they've now taken him with the 7th overall pick, and I'm sure he's happy to be staying in the Cumberland and Navan area.
Yeah, and you talked about Dave Braden Laidlaw being a small, skilled forward. Well, you have another guy here, another smaller forward, Adam Johnston, going to the Cumberland Grads, and he could play that skill role as well in the future.
Absolutely. Next selection belongs to the Brockville Braves.
Brockville Braves, the team that has provided us with part of our set here at the Earl Armstrong Arena. Whit and the gang, Phil over there as well, helping out with the broadcast. You know, Cumberland, the thing about the CCHL this year, it was on my mind time and time again. Even the teams that missed the playoffs, such as Cumberland, still had guys like Mark Goldberg, Matt DuPont before he got traded to the Junior Senators, Travis Douglas, obviously. So now the Grads adding more and more firepower up front to go along with the solid back end. They've got Cam Roth back there, anchoring a solid back end that a lot of CCHL watchers were fans of, and now the Grads continuing to add to that up front.
Yeah, the Grads were never an easy out in the regular season.
Absolutely
I thought
not.
they were a very they were a very hard-working team. From what I saw, they gave teams fits in the defensive zone, and yeah, I mean they've got a lot of firepower. Mark Goldberg, I actually predicted them finishing higher than they did. I had them making the playoffs this season or this past season, and you know what? When you add a guy like Matthew Plant, who's got to be a hard-working player to make it at his size, he's definitely going to add to that.
With our first
the character
selection,
that they have on that team.
Aqua Braves, a proud select from Upper Canada Cyclones, Cameron Hebert.
Cameron Ebert, a member of the Major Bantam Upper Canada Cyclones. He's another guy that is not exactly the biggest guy in the world, but he's an undersized, smart, intelligent, skilled forward. But he also is pretty scrappy. His older brother plays for the Major Midget AAA Cyclones as well. And they both play the same kind of game, which is scrappy but smart, and they can generate offense while they're doing it.
So a lot of retaliatory penalties, it sounds like.
Well, he draws them, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, the newest Brockville Brave up there on stage. Small, scrappy, skilled. Sounds like the kind of player the Brockville fans could learn to love in a couple of years. Michael?
Yeah, for sure, like a Brendan Gallagher type almost. When you look at how Montreal Canadiens fans have jumped on his bandwagon, you look at Cameron Hebert, and he's got a very similar reputation from the sounds of it. And with the 8th overall selection coming from St. Andrews as well, a very good pick there for the Brockville Braves as they look to
selection, the Gloucester Rangers.
Gloucester Rangers, pick number 9, going to be up here for the 4th and final time, we think, in this first round. This pick is originally from the Pembroke Lumber Kings, so we're getting down into the tail end. And again, we'll remind you that after the first round, we'll be bringing the teams over one by one. We'll be asking some questions of the Bantam Pro-Techs, getting you a chance to know them better. Of course, the fellows over to our left, you can't see the CCHL network, have been doing some great work with the prospects, and are continuing to do some great work, likely with these first round prospects. We will continue to keep you updated on the second round and perhaps the third round if we stretch into that as this broadcast wears on. But we are going to switch our focus over to the Bantam Pro-Techs after this first round. Again, each team getting to make 2, perhaps 3. There were 2 teams that actually got to make 3, and they're the teams that made this trade, Gloucester and Pembroke. If you lose a player to the Ontario Hockey League, that's when you get a compensatory pick. So 26 Bantam Pro-Techs in all. That's the Gloucester Rangers and their younger jersey carrier make their way up for the last pick here. Wondered if they were going to make a trade when they had 4 first-round picks, but they're electing to make all of them, it looks like.
With the 9th overall pick in the first round, the Gloucester Rangers are pleased to select from the Ottawa 67's Maynard Bantam AAA, Jean-Sébastien Graton.
That's a popular pick right there.
Yeah.
So we see the second goalie come off our board here in our draft, and this time it's another Junior 67, but this time from the Major Bantams. Jean-Sébastien Graton was the starter for the Junior 67s as they made their run all the way to the provincials. And he's another local kid. He lives in Gloucester.
Yeah.
It's maybe a 2-minute drive to the arena for him. So
I was
he
just
might
gonna
become
mention that for sure.
He might become a fan favorite
Great,
soon.
Great numbers as well, Michael.
Yeah, for sure, a 168 goals against average in the regular season. And I mean, it obviously helps playing on the team that was the Junior 67's Major Bantam, but a very solid goaltender is J.S. Graton. I've watched him play all through the years, and he just gets better and better, eventually making it up to the AAA level. As Dave mentioned, he's from the area, played on the Gloucester Rangers all the way up. Before that, he played on the Gloucester Cougars and the Gloucester Blackhawks, so a local player to the Gloucester Rangers here today, and they've got to be thrilled to get him on board.
And that's what you want to see. You talk about that sense of improvement, David, especially with netminders who can take a little bit slower to develop, but that sense to improve, that ability to work on your game, to identify weaknesses and turn them not into weaknesses anymore, that really is key for netminders. So it seems like a very nice asset to have here for the latest pick in the first round.
Yeah, because absolutely, because junior teams, they don't want minor hockey players playing the same way they do in minor hockey. They're trying to figure out where they are going to be, say, 3 years from now. Because especially with goalies, you're not going to bring them in as a 16-year-old. His ability to show improvement year after year is definitely a quality that endears him to the Gloucester Rangers.
Back-to-back picks coming here for the Hawkesbury Hawks, who had the lowest point total in the CCHL this year, 41 points. They started off with the number 1 pick, and they've worked their way down to the 10th and 11th pick, but on their website, after they made that trade with Cumberland to move down from 1 to 3, their management said that they wanted to add depth. They felt like this was a very deep draft, and that's certainly what they're being able to do, picking up an extra second and third rounder, and still having 2 picks in the first round.
Yeah, absolutely, and I guess that's what you expect when they give away the third-round pick and pick up picks in the second and third round, as you mentioned. That's just a testament to how deep the draft really is and how the Hawkesbury Hawks have so much confidence in the later rounds of this draft as GM Ian Henderson makes his way up to the podium here. But yeah, the Hawkesbury Hawks, a team that had the first overall pick. They recently acquired Hunter Racing via trade. Yeah. And with these 2 back-to-back picks, they're building a pretty good prospect pool to go along with it as well.
Yeah, they certainly have a lot of potential openings.
The Hawkesbury Hawks would like to congratulate the Carleton Place Canadians on a great season. With our first pick, the Hawks select from the Eastern Ontario Wild minor midget, Braden Laidlaw.
So Laidlaw is a first-rounder, after all, going to the Hawkesbury Hawks. They picked up Racine, but they lost Carl Fauché in that deal, so forward in and forward out. And they can pretty much add depth throughout their lineup, choosing to go with Laidlaw for the first of their back-to-back picks.
Yeah, it's funny you mention Hunter Racine because Braden Laidlaw actually plays a very similar style to Hunter Racine, which is, well, we've been saying it a lot. He's not the biggest guy, but extremely intelligent. I mentioned earlier, one of the smartest players available in this draft. Knows where to put the puck, is an extremely smart passer, and is a great setup man, and that is a pretty solid definition of Hunter Racine as well. So he may have a mentor in Hawkesbury to look up to as he joins Hunter Racine and the rest of the Hawkesbury Hawks.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about size with some of these kids, and this is all a projection, of course. These kids still have a lot of growing to do. It may not even happen from their 14 to a 15, 16-year-old season. Sometimes it happens from 16 to 17. I remember Blaine Byron sprouted up a couple inches in his draft year, which didn't hurt his stock, and he ended up going to the Penguins in the 6th round. Yeah,
and I remember just last year the Gloucester Rangers had Riley Bruce on board, and he sprouted up and eventually left to go to the North Bay Battalion, so they lost him because of his growth. And so that's just what height can do and what size can do for these players.
Hawkesbury Hawks right back up. We have the pick in front of us here on the in-house software. We're not going to spoil it yet.
Ontario Wild Major Bantam, Nicholas Campbell.
So no goaltenders were Bantam Pro-Techs, Michael, but the third goaltender off the board, it's Nicholas Campbell coming off to the Hawkesbury Hawks from the Eastern Ontario Wild.
Yeah, I think that is a great pick. Sorry, I started to cut you off. I'm just saying, I think Nick Campbell is arguably the top goaltender in this entire 99 age group in Ottawa. He absolutely stole games for the Eastern Ontario Wild this year, and when it came to the playoffs, he was pretty much the singular reason that they made the finals. He just dominated the Titans, had, I think, 2 shutouts in the 6-game series, and just shut the door completely, and he's going to be an absolute stud for Hawkesbury in the future.
For a while there, the Hawkesbury Hawks were a very special slate of, a very special place for goaltenders to develop. Remember Carmen Guerrero, you talk about stealing games. Carmen Guerrero certainly was a source of that. So now the Hawkesbury Hawks going back to the well, picking themselves up in netminder, and it always helps in a developing team that can have a netminder that can steal a game or two for you, add confidence. It's one of those intangible things you can add to a team, is the confidence in the netminder behind you to maybe not be so afraid of making mistakes.
Yeah, and the confidence that the goaltender has as well, and coming off a playoff run that you just alluded to, Dave,
final
being able
selection
to
in the
select
first
Nick
round,
Campbell, that is a lot of confidence
CCHL
that he's going to have
Carleton
going into
Place
next
Canadians
season and the seasons beyond.
Carleton Place Canadians now. This time tomorrow they're going to be in St. Jerome, Quebec for the Fred Page Cup. They did it without giving up their first-round pick, as Pembroke, Ottawa, Smiths Falls. The rest of the Final Four team did as well, so that's one of the reasons why the Canadians are champs. They are up now. There's Jason Clark, GM, owner, head coach, to make the last pick of the first round here at the CCHL draft.
The Carleton Place Canadians are proud to select from Carleton Place, Ontario, Ryan Shaw.
Well, no surprise that they go with the Carleton Place kid, Stephen Bayless, the local product. Very popular with the fans there. You saw that in Game 5 of the CCHL Finals when they clinched. But Ryan Shaw from the Ottawa Valley Titans is the newest member to wear the barber pole uniforms of the Carleton Place Canadians. So I don't know if he'll get out of school to be able to go to the Fred Page Cup, and he'll probably be following along online, Mike.
Yeah, for sure. And, going to a very good organization in the Carleton Place Canadians as he throws that barber pole jersey on right now. But, Ryan Shaw, definitely a pick for the future for the Carleton Place Canadians. They did lose a couple players, so that is potential for him to slide in there. But a local guy, you mentioned how popular playoff MVP Stephen Bayless was, so obviously they're looking to touch on that once again.
That concludes
with this
the first round. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge two people that are of great assistance to us in the CCHL. Hockey Eastern Ontario Executive Director Debbie Rambo and Technical Director Jeff Baker, who is busy in conversation. Thank you very much for all your help all year.
Adam Church, forward, is the second overall pick. Back-to-back for Gloucester. Chetwin Blacksmith.
Commencing in the second round, the selections will be made from the table and announced at the podium, so players...
Going to the Kemptville 73s. Adam Johnston, another new Gloucester Ranger. He's a forward from Stittsville, from the Ottawa Valley Titans. Matthew Plant from Orleans, heading to the Cumberland Grads. Cam Abear, a right winger to the Braves. Gloucester picks Jean-Sébastien Graton, another netminder, their second of the first round. Then Brandon Laidlaw and Nick Campbell to the Hawkesbury Hawks. We just saw Ryan Shaw from Carleton Place going to Carleton Place.